You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
Welcome to the Palace of Megapixels. This is Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo!
Welcome to Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo PAX East 2019 Day 1 Special Edition podcast that we're doing right now, and you're getting it on a Friday or Saturday. We're recording this on a Friday because we went to PAX on Friday, and then you're hearing it the day after, so you're getting fairly live-ish stuff.
Sure.
You know,
we probably were supposed to do one yesterday, but
it's fine.
Things happened.
Yeah, it's fine. We can only do so much. I mean, 3 days. After 3 days, there's not really much to talk about. We've seen it all, but we're going to talk about what we have seen. And if you haven't figured out already, with me is Lace.
Hello. Happy Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday. And then also with us is Katrina returning again.
Hello.
Because she got to stomp around PAX with us. And all of our stuff that we got to see. So, where to begin?
I know, right?
Where to begin? Because I felt like I didn't take in as much as we did last year.
Not
but I
on
still
day one,
felt like I got in a lot.
Yeah.
You know, at least enough. So, I'm going to start at least non-gaming related, but I feel like it was one of the first things that we kind of ran into. We stopped into one of the auditoriums or side spots, not the main expo hall, and it was called the Diversity Lounge, and it was filled with various content creators and groups and things like that are all about diversity in culture and gaming and things like that. And one that we talked to specifically, and we hope that in due time we can get them on the show and maybe they can explain more about what they do. They were called Planewalkers for Diversity. They are gamers who are passionate about Magic the Gathering.
Nice.
But they also want it being played in what they would consider an open atmosphere without exclusion. So no matter who you are, gay, straight, no matter color, race, gender, whatever. You
want to come in and have a good time. That's what we care about. Yeah.
It's all about having fun for these gamers. Doesn't matter who you are. And I didn't want to go into specific detail with them and talk to them in great detail about it at the moment. But I did offer them, to come on the show and maybe explain it to people, because we may have people out there who are into Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And, I would love for them to know about these people too. So they seemed awesome enough that it would warrant a guest spot on the show for an interview or something like that.
Solid.
So hopefully we can talk to them in the near future and everybody can get to know them and join their cause, as it were. But games, I mean, I've got a handful here. What do you want to start with? Who wants to start? Anybody?
Well, I didn't really get in as much gaming as I would have liked.
We'll talk about your VR experience, I guess.
I mean, we did go to a party last night, though, too.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can talk about that.
I mean, that's something I attended and remember.
Yes, for the most part, yes. Yeah, we got to attend a VIP party for the Layers of Fear 2, I guess.
It was like their PR event.
Yeah.
So certain content creators or influencers within the gaming scene got invites to come attend this party, which it was very fantastic of them.
Sure.
Gun Media was the one that was hosting this particular one. And they put on a nice little party for everyone to come in and see. I mean, they had some nice little statues that were built around the place to, like, you want to take a picture with it. Some dude's like holding a button to pop out at you, I'm so glad I saw it before I went over there, because I would have screamed. We know this would have happened for sure. And yeah, we got to talk with other content creators that happened to show up. I got to healthily stalk a couple of the developers and got a picture with Ron Hobbs.
That's right. You can see them all now on Instagram, on our Instagram.
Never quite cornered Wes, but I did see him at PAX today, so maybe I can corner him at the Layers of Fear 2 booth at some point and get a picture with him.
Right.
Yeah, just straight up good time.
Yeah, and I also feel like that I wish I was 20 years younger. Well, legal age to drink, we'll just rewind just enough.
Yeah.
To where I could have really enjoyed an open bar because I just don't have that in me. And even still,
Right.
it hit me like a brick.
Yeah. And like, I used to have a rock gut for this stuff, man. And like, honestly, I know it said like complimentary food and drinks, but I really wasn't expecting open bar. I'll be completely honest. I was thinking maybe you get a cocktail or two, like the ones that they had on special to like, I don't know, be spooky themed or whatever. We had the Despair was one of the names of the cocktails, and so I still think that was funny when Steven's like, I'm gonna go get us a beer. I'm like, okay. So I hand him some cash, right? And he's going up there, and then he comes back and he's just got this look on his face like he's completely confused and sits down really slow and hands me the beer, and then he gives me the cash back and he's like, they put it on the bar, the guy walked away, I picked him up, I backed away very slowly to make sure I was doing the right thing. I'm like, no shit. All right.
Yeah. But again, I only had 3 drinks.
Yeah.
Bare
Well,
minimum,
and then
because
whatever that junk was
But
that
we
came to
didn't
the table at
finish
the
it all.
end.
We knew it was going to be a bad idea. For anyone listening, you'll probably see this later on at some point,
Maybe.
whenever I get around to editing it or whatever. But
The cutting room floor.
we did kind of a rogue porter and ale thing where we kind of mixed together Soren. We're gonna rat
pick
him
him
out.
out,
Soren,
yeah.
if you know Soren from Twitch, he ordered 3 separate drinks. We don't know what they were.
I still think 2 of them were the exact same drink.
Yeah.
And then there was-
yeah. But it was still 3 drinks.
There was 3.
Okay, so we had 3 drinks sitting there, and we were like,
And
what
he
are
walked
they?
away, to be fair, at this point.
For an hour. Or
He was gone.
for more. And we just kind of looked at him and was like, okay, well, what are these? And this is before we got our last drink.
We
because
didn't know
were
what they were,
debating-
so I drank them all.
Yeah, we were debating. We were just like, we're going to drink these. And we just kind of were like, well, you picked up both of them and took a sip.
I
and we're
drank
like,
out
oh,
of all
this is awful.
3. Yeah, if you're listening to this now and you ordered those drinks, I drank out of all of them.
And you're just like, this is awful. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And then I took sips and I was like, God, what is this? And it was like whiskey and lime.
I think it was
Or
straight
lemon.
up like too much lemon juice.
Yeah.
Just way too much lemon juice.
But what was it? I
have
don't
no
know.
idea. Well, one of them was convinced it was that champagne lemon juice. I don't remember what was all in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of us even took a picture of the cocktail list. And then there was one I think was like gin, mint, and cucumber.
Yep.
And that one, like after trying all of them, was the best of them.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, the cucumber kind of pulls through for you, at least in the end, to make it a little more refreshing, with the cucumber and mint. But then there was the Despair, which was basically like an old fashioned. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was really good. But then what we did, just to kind of go back to the porter and ale thing, is we were like, you know what? Why don't we just have some fun with this and create a concoction with what we have?
And
so we mixed. I think I had an empty glass. Like after I finished
After
my
the
Despair.
Despair, yeah.
So it had the orange rind in it, and then we put some of the lemon.
And well seasoned ice.
Yes, and lemon and whiskey in that, and then the cucumber and mint and everything. So it was all this stuff compared. And you know what? I picked it up, and everybody was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be terrible." And I took a sip, and I was like, "It's actually pretty good."
It was actually better than all of the drinks on their own.
It's like somehow they just made it better together.
Or we let it water down for too long. I don't know, but you're right. It was
Yeah.
better that way.
This is interesting. This is really interesting. So,
Yeah.
but you don't want to hear our party stories. We didn't do much. I mean, we just drank and had fun and talked to people.
Yes. Yes.
People you may know or may not know.
I got
You
to
may be
talk
one
to
of the
Nerdy
people.
Nettie.
Yeah.
We saw Enola.
We did. We got to see her again today.
And of course, Wicked Beth Waifu, which is, she's somewhere here still.
So any of you listening right here, if we happen to see you, we just mentioned you by name. Thank you.
Yes.
We love you. That's why we come and see you.
Perfect.
But you want to hear about games.
Oh,
so
that's probably true, too.
Let's talk about
It's
games.
gaming related. We got
It is. I mean,
Layers of Fear 2.
It was a fun story. I guess I'll start with a simple one because everybody's probably playing it right now. Mortal Kombat 11. They had a demo booth down there. Got to play 2 matches. against somebody I didn't know. And, you know...
Are you friends now?
Why don't you tell them why you had to play against somebody you didn't know?
Because you didn't go in with me?
Well, not just because I didn't go in with you, but because you had to RSVP or whatever to actually get a spot to play the dang game.
Yeah, because Sony has this thing where they make you RSVP to get in, which, to be fair, I can kind of understand some game, like the VR stuff. I kind of get that. You know, because there's going to be a lot of people who want to play it, and then you're going to have lines out the ass. So they set it up. You get an RSVP. You come there. You play it, and you go.
Yeah.
Simple. And I guess that's kind of cool because at least you can guarantee you're going to play the game. But at the same time, there's just this limited amount of time that you have. If you're not on it, you're not going to get to play.
Yeah,
it.
you have that app open, and you got to spam that button and just hope. When that
hope for the best.
Second
so
the time opens that you're one of the lucky ones.
So I did that.
The funny thing is also while we were standing there waiting for you, the 259 people who got to go in.
Yeah.
And they called for one more person to get to go in that didn't RSVP because they needed one more spot filled. So some guy just happened.
Oh,
no, I was standing there. I'm not a big Mortal Kombat fan.
Okay, that's fair.
I used to play it when I was younger, but I don't know. I guess the only thing I like about Mortal Kombat is, I don't even remember which one it was, but the baby.
The babalities.
Yeah, the babalities.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's cute and it's not gory. Like I don't mind a lot of gory stuff, but Mortal Kombat just takes it above and beyond.
And
I can only
this one, right?
I can only watch so much of it before it just starts to turn my stomach. But some kid just happened to be walking by and he was like, I don't have a reservation, and just walked right on in and got to play the game before Steven did.
Yeah, kind of sucked, but it was all right. But, I mean, the game was fun. I can't wait to actually get my hands on it a little bit. I can't play the beta that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
It's
that's
going on this
ongoing since yesterday. So, and I'm here, which I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, at least I got to play it, so I can say I got to play it during the beta.
Yeah.
And they had a few select characters to choose from. And for whatever reason, and I feel like I'm good at gaming. That I feel confident about that. I'm a decent gamer. I'm not good with every game. And with fighting games, I feel like at first I'm not good, but the more I play it, the better I get. Like, I can really get into it to the point where I'm just like flipping combos, boom, 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 boom. And, fatalities and brutalities or whatever, they just come naturally. Boom, done. And you're like, oh, shit. But this kid came up and I'm like... Son of a bitch. I kicked his ass one time out of 3 matches per time.
Yeah.
So it was like the first time I got him, it was like he was trying to figure it out, and I was like, aha, ha, I got you, ha, I got you, good. And I got him good. And then the next 2 rounds, he'd kick my ass. And I was like, well, shit. I was like, what am I doing wrong? I thought I was doing fine. And then this kid comes around. And then, of course, the final blow is he had to perform a fatality on me. So
Did he know the fatality?
No, he had to look it up. Because you have to pause it and open up screens.
Oh, so it was already unlocked for the beta or for the thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you could do that. So he killed me.
I just figured he did what we all used to do when we played Mortal Kombat and just push the fucking buttons or freaking buttons until
That's our one.
you got the fatality.
But I mean, in all fairness, we didn't have. I mean, they didn't have the way to do that back then. Plus, we had magazines that we'd always turn to and things like that. Like, you would buy the magazine just for the fatalities because, like, I need this. I need this.
Me and Kimberly never bought the magazines. We just pushed buttons until we figured it out.
Well, now there's too many buttons to remember. Like, I feel like you'd have to get pretty dang lucky to up, down, left, right, X, square. It's just like, I'll never...
But in all fairness, they have kind of simplified the fatalities if you actually kind of look at it.
There's one easy and then there's the one hard.
Yeah, there's always a tricky one, but I feel like they've tweaked it enough and the controls have gotten better enough to where it's easier to perform versus the way it used to be. Because back then, if you had to go up for any reason, you had to hold the block button because you would jump. And then it was like, just, come on, man, just help me out here.
Yeah.
This is stupid. But, no, it was fun. And while we're on that subject, I also got to play Trover Saves the Universe, which is the other reservation I got. And I got to play it in VR, even though in the same kind of area where they had. This
Yeah, I
was
think
not
I
for
saw it off to
reservation
the side,
purposes. Yeah,
yeah.
you could play it outside of VR. So if you wanted to try it, but you couldn't get the VR, you could still play it. And those booths were actually kind of empty. So I think you kind of luck out a little bit just to do that. But this is, if you don't know, this is from Justin Roiland, who's the guy who co-created Rick and Morty. Stamps all over it. The animation, it looks like Rick and Morty.
100%. Yeah.
The voices, it's him.
I liked it. Well, the accounting was such a fun VR game.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty was a fun VR game. I would anticipate this will also be fun. Probably short, just like the other ones, but also just fun.
I mean, the way they kind of started off is, I guess they're kind of giving you an inkling as to what the story is, but they don't quite tell you what it is, because it starts off and you see this big chicken, like a big blue chicken, I'm going to say, and he has no eyes. And if you notice with Trover, he's got like
four
two little characters with eyes in his eyeballs. And it's just really weird, because I got this trypophobia thing. And he starts off, and you see these two little dogs just barking around. And this chicken shows up, grabs him, and then shoves him into his eye holes. And he's like, ah, and he just starts swearing up a storm of, Rick and Morty stuff. Which you can censor it if you don't want to hear all that. So if you're, I was like, no.
I'm a grown-up.
I want all this. But he's just sitting there saying stuff like getting all excited, Rick and Morty style. And then they cut away to your character, you, whoever you are. And you're just sitting in this chair, just looking around. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And then the TV comes on. And the TV is essentially these two people bickering back and forth. It's like, don't you know what to do? You're supposed to turn around in the chair. I don't know how to do that. You're supposed to just hit the stick and just spin around in the chair. It's like telling you what to do.
Very
And
that
this
fashion. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So you just listen to the TV until you kind of get through the tutorial about what you're supposed to do. And then I guess Trover, the blue character, he shows up. And then he's talking to you. He's like, "Oh, your stupid dogs are ruining everything. We got to go save it and all this other stuff." So you can go on your little adventure and you meet other people, and you actually got to interact with one character. It's like this old man who's just grumpy. He's like, it's you. You're responsible for all this chaos and everything. It's your stupid dogs. Don't you feel bad about it? And you're supposed to just shake your head, yes or no. And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, you don't, huh? Well, you son of a bitch. And just starts tearing into me. And I'm like, all right, this is pretty awesome. Yeah. And then I think the last amusing thing is that as I was wandering around toward the last little part, you kind of have to go, like, if you know some of the VR games, you'll see like little teleporters, and that's kind of how you progress through each section in a VR game. Well, they had those set up, and you had to go to one to the other to the other. And I missed one, and I got turned around, and he was like, no, you're going the wrong way. That's going to go back to that crazy old man. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was trying to look around, and it took, I guess, a little too long. He's like, hey, man, come on. Other people want to play this demo too, And I was like, nice. All right. So it was really fun. I still want to play. I still haven't played the other Rick and Morty VR game.
Oh, no? Okay.
But it's one of those I've just got to get around to. I'll get around to this too, because this seemed a lot of fun. So I want to play more of it.
Excellent.
So I'm excited. Either of you have any more games, or do I have to keep going?
Well, like I said, I played The Rift. So oh God,
Asgard and Tales, Asgard.
Oh my God.
I remember it had something to do with Asgard.
I think it was like Vanguard, oh my God.
No, it was Asgard, Thor.
Yeah.
And Odin.
You guys, I fail.
It's okay.
As a human. So I did play that game.
Yeah, there was an Asgard VR game that she played.
It was a RPG, which I loved Skyrim. It kind of had that feel to it, only on a bigger scale. But my big thing was I definitely wanted to try the Oculus Rift S. Yeah. I wanted to see, with me having an Oculus already, is this a big upgrade, Although I don't know that it was worth my wait time in line. I was not expecting the length. I was probably in line 2.5 hours when I was told an hour and a half. So by the time I made it in the second line in the box, I've committed at that point. I'm like, I've already wasted so much time. I'm just going to stay in line. But with that aside, it was cool. I liked the game. which for me was a little bit harder because I got nervous. There was no teleportation in it. It's just only the locomotion, I guess is what they call it. And I can't get my sea legs sometimes on that because, like, if it's moving in there, I have to take this weird stance because, like, I'll start to wobble my own body, like, because my brain is thinking I'm moving around, but you're not. So it's like I get knocked off my axis pretty well. But I did pretty good today. I was really proud of myself. I just wanted to make sure I didn't get sick on this dude, right? Because, like, I waited this long just to throw up on the guy. Would have been pretty bad, you know? So the controllers seemed to fit actually a little bit nicer in the hand. They kind of reconfigured where the joystick and stuff was. So I wasn't hitting the Oculus button at all because I tend to accidentally hit that all the time when I'm playing games because it's just like right over where your thumb goes.
Right.
And then they have the controller with it being in the front or with the circles are now up top. So I'm not really sure I found any huge difference in gameplay for that. But I just wanted to see, is the screen door effect less? Can I hear the game? Because now they've taken away the speakers which is really nice touch, I think, on the Oculus to have that comes down over the ears and they're very comfortable. And I wanted to see if the popular so I wanted to see if the screen door effect was less, the speakers were good, and how well for me, since they say with those that have to make the adjustments for the eyes for it to be clearer if you're on the lower end or the very high end of the spectrum, they were saying you might have trouble seeing it very clearly, and I'm apparently very low on it. So I was like, well, let's see, you know. And there's no sensors, obviously. So I didn't get to try the pass-through, which was one thing I wanted to see. But the headset itself, pretty comfortable, actually. That Halo thing, which is the one thing I've always said about PlayStation that I thought they did right, that Halo is really comfortable. Yeah. There is a strap still up top. So I found for me to see clearly, I kind of had to raise it a little bit. So for me, it might be a little dangerous because it felt like it might come off my head.
Okay.
Because I had to get the Halo to sit kind of higher. Maybe that's the way you have to adjust it for me to be able to see clearer through it. But the screen door effect, very, very little. I was actually impressed. This was the first time I probably put one on where I didn't even think about it. Yeah. Whereas usually, like, throughout my play at some point, I'm thinking about it. Like, I just can't not think about how I'm seeing it like that. So I didn't even think about it with this one. But couldn't hear crap. So I know it's a convention and it's really, really loud. So I can't really say whether with the sound coming out of the actual Halo top down is going to be good. I have no idea if the sound's going to be just as rich like they're hawking or anything like that because all I heard was convention. I didn't even get to hear the game.
And I mean, in all fairness, when you go to like where I was in the PlayStation one, granted they're not built in, but still they had headphones that just can slide over.
So you can immerse yourself.
I mean, I could still hear people who were near, like really, really close, but it was faint.
Right.
Like,
so
anything at all.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like they could do better.
Or at least something, or provided a headset because it being at a con, because there is a way to plug in for your own earphones, you know, so if you want to have that instead. But tried grabbing things from behind me, doing all that to see if it was going to lose track since it's sensorless. Didn't have any issues.
Nice.
So with the game, pretty much the only part of it that you try is you have your sword and board, you know, and then certain enemies would start to come out from the ground and you could walk over and grab different things and different weapons and stuff that were along the wall. So I didn't really get to try a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's like it opened up. You're in this really cool world. The tree guy came down, scared me because I'm a jumper. Showed me how to like configure it for myself. And then we were on our way. You had to pick up this heart, hand it to the lady, and then begin. And so I grabbed my shield, had my sword on this side. I had like a throwing axe too, which I never used. I just forgot that it was there until I dropped it on the ground. It didn't do too badly, you know? So with me moving back and forth, and the guy finally, he did let me know, he's like, if you bash them with the shield, they might fall over, you know? Because I was like, blocking and still killing some of them, but you know, and then sure enough, on this one guy, knocked him on his ass, go over there and start stabbing him and back up. He did compliment my play style though, because everybody else wanted to just like dive right in there. He's like, you played it a little more cautiously. He's like, that was good, you know, because if they'd start to come at me and he'd swing, I would step back while his sword was down, I'd go over and start trying to hit him in the face, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you just got to play some RPGs, I guess. I don't know.
For sure.
But I'm never a tank character, so that was a little out of my element to have a sword and board, and especially in VR. So all in all I can say is have no idea if the sound's going to be any good. The screen door effect I was very impressed with, and I didn't really notice any difference with the refresh rate, because I know with them taking a hit on the hertz, the refresh, people were worried about it. I would imagine they have an amazing rig, obviously, that they'd be showing it off on for PC there.
Yeah.
But I didn't notice any difference in that.
Yeah.
If you're just now buying a VR, sure.
Yeah.
With the headphones, though, I'm not sure. I wish I could have gotten the experience of like how that's going to sound.
But again, like you said, there's that option for
Yeah.
your own
Yes.
headset. So it could be a non-starter. So
Maybe.
Fair enough.
So, and I guess maybe if you're lower on the distance between your eyes or whatever to make it clearer, it might have to sit too high on your head.
good.
So if you are getting super into a fighting game, you might fall off. You know, like I don't know if that was just me or, you know, how I had it set. So we readjusted it a little bit because it should go up and down.
Right.
But yeah, I would have liked to have gotten into it a little bit more from a weight.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But as far as I could tell, I mean, it didn't seem like without having the sensors, like, because you had to reach for your weapons behind you, which was
Yeah.
my concern, is that you're going to lose tracking. I picked it up every time. It wasn't me trying a couple of times. So,
I think that's one of the things that I noticed, and I think it was cool because, you know, we have the PlayStation VR, and I think the one thing that gets irritating is when I was watching you play, is you weren't facing the TV.
right.
You were facing away from it and everything, but with the PlayStation, you have to face
well, you
like
at
the
least have to face
television.
the sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, every single person who was playing the Rift, is that what you called it? Yeah. Every single person who was playing it was facing, like, a different freaking direction, and they were moving around and everything. And I know just playing our VR, if you step even just a little bit to
Yeah.
one side or the other, your screen goes black, and it's like, hey, get back, you know?
That is my one complaint with PSVR too. Because like even when I was playing the Rick and Morty one, for instance, there's a lot of stuff you just got to pick up off the ground. And I rage quit it so many times because I just couldn't pick it up. I would redo everything with the sensors, put the thing on the ground, you know, but as soon as it fell on the ground, I'm like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
I cannot pick up that item, and that is absolutely what I need to continue. So now what? What do I do? You know? So that's the one thing that it has up on it. And especially now they've started developing the games where it's like you can kind of at least just point at it, and if nothing else, it'll come to your hand. It's not having to go all the way to the ground. But in that Rick and Morty game, nope. I think I even tried to use the little Me-6 creatively to get them to knock things up in the air so I could grab it. Because there's like a little Me-6 that you use as a bot, like when you're in the garage, you know, and I'm like, get it from the driveway. Knock it. And then you try to hurry up and grab it, you know. But the game was fun outside of that. But
Fair enough.
actually with the Rift, I tend to keep the games facing away from the computer because you're tethered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, you can have it set to where you can keep moving the screen while you're in the VR headset and have it pointed out. Because, like, you can get yourself tangled up in that thing like nothing flat. If it doesn't have, like, a turn option, some games won't. Where it's like, especially indie games, I've noticed, like, you have to actually physically move because they won't put it on the joystick. That's when you get really screwed up, man. Especially if it's a seated game.
Yeah.
You can feel the headset starting to go. I'm like, I'm wrapped around the chair. I just know it right now. You know? And so it's like, maybe just always put in that option on the right joystick there so we can turn instead of having to physically turn. But with that one, we did, and I got myself screwed up actually a couple times in that game today because I was using it.
Yeah.
And but then they were constantly to my right because I couldn't like turn fast enough. And I'm like, dang it, no. Stop, just hold on. I got to reorient here. But, yeah, that was pretty much my experience with that. And that game seems pretty fun if we ever freaking remember the name of it. Asgard's Wrath.
There you go.
I think
See?
that's it.
It just took you talking about it the entire time.
Jesus, man. My brain, for the age that I am, it's scary.
I know. I'm
The
with
amount
you.
of time that I can forget something. But,
Yep.
yeah. So, I did get to try the Rift S. I did not try the Quest. But tomorrow I want to go try some Dance Central.
Yeah,
I could get into that.
If we can get into it, instead of
that
their
one was a much shorter line. I feel like I should have uncommitted from the one that I was in very early on and gone over there because there was always like 5 or 6 people in that line.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, hopefully, I will be able to tell you about that.
Yeah, there you go. Katrina, did you get to play any games? I know you kind of followed me around most of the time, but I know
I did.
You picked up the controller.
My first PAX experience was mainly taking pictures of everything.
But we need pictures. We need pictures.
Right.
Yes. I mean, I did get a lot more pictures of people in cosplay than anything else, but, that's just for my own personal enjoyment. Mm-hmm. That sounded really bad.
No. You're into anime. You're into
yes,
that kind of
I am
stuff,
into anime, which is why I was so disappointed that the Kickstarter game Summer in Mara was not there, because I saw it and it looks like a beautiful anime, kind of like Animal Crossing meets Harvest Moon, and it's just gorgeous. And I wanted to play it, and I was hoping they were there, and they weren't freaking there.
Yeah.
But
we did look.
I do want, when we go back tomorrow, to see about playing Dreams.
Yeah.
Because that was another one that I really wanted to play, but every time we walked past that
That
part.
one's going to be busy, I'm
sure.
yeah.
It was so freaking busy.
And see, that was one of those that I don't think was on the register list, the RSVP list, which, again, seems like an odd
I don't
choice.
think it was, because a lot of the people who were playing it, I noticed when we walked by like the second and third time, were the same freaking people who were playing it before. Like, a lot of them just stayed there.
Well, that's weak.
But
well, they shouldn't allow that, or they just really poorly timed out their demo.
Yeah.
To where they got to,
But,
instead of it being a timer, so you had to reach a certain thing or something. And it's
Yeah.
But I mean, it was cool because I did notice that for the amount of, I guess, screens that they had, everybody was playing a different level. And the ones who I'm guessing were creators, or at least knew more about the game, were actually creating characters and levels and stuff up on the main screen. So you got to not only see people play the different ones that have already been created, but see them working on,
I can't wait to see what really comes from this, man.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's already been amazing stuff that you've seen people recreate.
And that's just from demos.
There was a man and his little boy. I mean, little boy, probably 5-6 years old, playing one, and the character in the game looked like Groot. Like, it looked like a little mini Groot, and this little kid's just having a heyday running around as this little Groot-looking character, and it was so freaking cute.
That's awesome.
But no, I mean, other than that, there wasn't really any that, I guess, jumped out at me like I wanted to play. There was one, I don't remember the name of it. I know it had a raccoon in it. And it was like, I think it was Monsters or something like that. And you could play as different, it was a co-oping game, and you could play as different animal type characters. Mm-hmm. And from what it looked like a type of battle game where you, like, I guess kind of Call of Duty-esque, you find each other and fight. I don't know.
Or a battle royale-ish kind of thing.
But it looked cute. But when I walked over there, the line was super long, and they had like 10 people already playing the freaking game. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not playing that either.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to commit to something tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, if we really want to play it, because I know
we did good last year.
Yeah.
We've just got to hop in line and see what happens.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mention 3 games that I kind of got a taste of, but I really can't say a whole lot about per se, but just kind of impressions, I guess. Mm-hmm. The first was also in the PlayStation booth. It was called Heaven's Vault, and it was very unique. It reminded me a lot of Star Story. You remember that game that we got to play from? Oh man, they're gonna kill me. Evil Corporation.
Yeah,
I remember it.
There's a lot of devs in our lives, guys. Give us a break.
But the reason I say it reminded me of that is because it was like story based. Like you had these animated characters, and it was pushing a story along. There was a narrative, and that's what you're kind of doing. You're just kind of following this narrative along. However, it played differently. It wasn't just like a 2D scroller like Star Story was, but it was more of a, like, your character was a 2D sprite, but well animated and drawn. Mm-hmm. So it didn't look cartoonish. But when it moved, it was like it wasn't a smooth motion of her legs walking back and forth like you assume like an animated character. It was like cutaways to the next frame, not fluid motion. So if she moved, it was like, oh, we're cut to that frame where she's moved, but it wasn't a fluid motion. You kind of follow what I'm saying. But I mean, it wasn't jarring or anything like, oh God, I can't play this. It was an interesting art choice that they kind of went with. And then the story, I feel like there's so much to it that maybe I don't quite understand. Like you'd really have to kind of get into it. But the lady you're playing, she's got like a little sidekick that's like a robot, and you're trying to discover these ruins, or you're looking over them. And there's a language, and it could be a real language. I don't know. But they like you find some writing, and you're like, oh, I wonder what this means. And they give you options to try and figure out what it means. And I was like, this, and there's like, maybe it is, maybe it's not. And I'm like, okay, well, and then you just kind of progress through what your findings are, and I guess you find clues to kind of help you piece this together. And there was even another spot like that where it was offering me a translation, and I was just like, this sounds good. Just based on the 3 words that I picked, I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh yeah, that's got to be right. And I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm a scholar.
Right.
But then it also goes into this other thing where if you open up the menu, it branches like thousands of years, like a timeline. And I don't know what it meant. I don't know what it was meant for. I don't know if you're meant to use that as like a basis for your research and all this other stuff. So it was interesting just from a story perspective. And I wouldn't mind looking back into it at some point. If it, because I know it's going to be on PlayStation. So if it sounds like something that might be up your alley for the story and then the kind of the research, and I mean, I think that was the part of it that kind of interested me is the research, and trying to figure out translations like
Very
an archaeologist.
puzzle game.
Yeah. So like that's kind of neat. I've not had to do that before in another game, try to decipher a language. So I thought that's kind of neat. So just by that alone, I wouldn't mind checking it out again, just to see if the story would kind of compel me and keep me going and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of cool. Another one I didn't really spend a lot of time on, I just wanted to kind of see because the art style was kind of neat, but maybe there's more to it, but it just seems so casual that I don't think I would spend a lot of time on it, but that doesn't mean other people might spend more time on it than I would.
Right.
I just feel like it's a very casual game. It was called Exposure, and it was from a company. I didn't catch the developer of Heaven's Fault. So when I figure that out, I'll post it.
To be announced.
Yeah, just so you know. But this one was Sheep's Meow Games, and they just say it's a game of camouflage. And you're like this little...
Sheep's Meow?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. But it's like this, you're like this little white ball, and you're just kind of, you can move around. And there's like white balls, I guess like light, I guess you'd say, just kind of floating around. And then there's dark. And as you're kind of moving along, this bird-looking creature, and again, this is very abstract art style, the way it looks. But this bird would kind of come diving at you, and if it hits you, you're dead. And game over. So you have to hide in the white spots as camouflage.
Okay.
And then when it goes away, you can kind of come out, and you have to collect all these other balls of light, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And then you just kind of do that, and I guess that's all there is to it. Maybe there's more, but it just seemed like I'm collecting and then hiding and collecting and hiding, and casual. That's all I can really say about it.
Yeah.
It feels like something that you could kill some time with, but I don't know if it's for me.
Okay. No, that's
Seemed
But-
like something more for a phone game.
Yeah. But again, I mean, I'm sure it could be fun. I'm not shitting on it by any means. I'm not saying that. I don't think it was for me personally, but it did have a unique style to it, and I thought it was kind of that's an interesting take on a game. It's an interesting concept. And the last one that I got is called From Rust. It was a PC card game, and you actually did play this. You actually did play this.
I did play this.
Okay.
Meh.
What it is, it kind of plays out like there's a story going on, and then your character, and then you have 3 moves to go collect, scrap and junk and stuff like that, and then you do your moves, and then you moved along, and then you found another character, and then that was another character you could play along too, and then they would go out and do their 3 turns, kind of like a card game or whatever, in the turn, that's it, and then if there's a boss match, depending on your stats for your character, it's like a roll of the dice, how much hit points you take off, and so on. And then each card and character that you find can boost the others. So it's a very RPG element type of game, but in a card game form.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that the guy did say, the developer said, is it's meant to be a multiplayer game. So you're playing online with other friends. So I'm assuming that all the 4 characters, I would be one, she would have been one, you would be one, and then the other person would be one, and then we'd all control one character and then kind of do our own thing.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that was the intention of it. So it's more fun with your friends. So you're not just playing alone with 4 characters and things like that. But he said, in this case, obviously you're playing single, solo, so you'll play them all if you want to. So I can see where this would definitely be more fun with more people because everybody can kind of interact and do their own thing, and I could see it being a lot of fun like that. And I'm not saying it wasn't fun like this. Again, casual.
Yeah.
Something I could probably sit down with on a laptop and just kind of play if I just wanted to kill some time and just have some fun. I mean, me personally, I know she... just from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, I could spend some time on this.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting through it and seeing what happens. It could be fun.
Yeah.
So
I'd have
that's
to see it.
something to look into. I got 2 more games. Do you guys have anything else?
I'm such a piece of crap today.
It's okay. It's okay.
I mean, I did play 2, but I don't know that it was notable enough to mention.
Well, one I'm saving for last, and I know you played that one.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and this one, I don't know if I remember enough about what it
Did
was
you actually play it?
I did.
Okay.
I did, and it was a tablet game, so probably on mobile.
Oh, yeah, that's where you sit on the yoga balls, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They gave us some yoga balls to sit on while we played it. Okay, well, it's called Norman's Night in the Cave.
Okay.
And it had a unique, little game style to it, but I didn't get a lot of the story. So if I'm to describe it to you right now, it's going to sound ridiculous because I think I was half paying attention to that, half probably getting messages, half guy telling me that they're, that what I could do because he saw I got stuck on a thing. But it was an older gentleman, I'm thinking wanted to have his night out, and we picked a bowling ball. I have a pin.
Yeah.
I chose blue. And then it cuts to just a silhouette of the man in this side scrolling world. And he has the bowling ball, but the whole mechanic is that as you touch the screen, you drag the ball away from him. But once you let go, it snaps back to him and moves the character. So you would have to decide how much you wanted to swing that ball back or how little, because you want to jump or you want to not fall in the lake of fire or whatever it was that was going on there. And then you'd earn a double jump or a triple jump. So you'd have to time it while you're in there to get him higher and higher. So it was kind of a little puzzle element, platformer, side scroll, up, down, but I'm a little bit sorry that I don't remember what the storyline was as to why this was happening, because I just didn't read the dialogue, I guess, that close.
Now, based on what you were saying, was it physics based?
I guess, yeah. Because I mean, it again, how it would be if you were pulling back on a
Slingshot?
There you go.
Words.
Yeah.
And then, so if I only pulled it a little bit, the ball would only go so far. If you yank it all the way back, and then it would go too far, so you would have to judge on how much you wanted to do that. And if you were to jump, obviously you drag it down, he'd pop up, and then you'd hopefully grab it again if it needed to go higher and just keep him going. And then every once in a while it'd be a lever you would need to find to open a specific door. It would have a red line shining there, and you'd have to find the lever, and then it would be green, and you could progress on. I played it for maybe 10 minutes. So I feel bad that I'm just going to say the man wanted to retire with bowling, and for some reason we are throwing this ball at him and shoving him all over this world, and very, very rudely. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as a little tablet-based game, I mean, I could see myself playing it for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea when it's going to release or anything. It was still early stages.
Yeah, I think a lot of these, with exceptions of Mortal Kombat 11, which we know is coming out on the 23rd of April, not this month because that's already passed.
Yeah.
But April, and then I do know that Trover Saves the Universe comes out on May 31st.
Oh, okay.
So I know that.
And that's coming to PC. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But as far as some of the others, I'm not 100% sure. So we may have to.
I mean, I grabbed the guy's card.
Yeah. It did.
Bactrian Games.
If that's the one I'm remembering, it reminded me of Limbo and Inside. Which
Yes.
kind of had that shadowy.
I think so.
Art style.
Because I don't remember what you had wandered off to go play at that point.
But I remember, yeah.
We went to look for Bloodlines.
Blood Roots.
Blood
yeah,
Roots.
Yeah, let's go into that.
Nice little segue.
That one.
And so then I left Norman's Night In and walked over to see Steven playing.
Blood Roots. Now, this, I had no idea what this game was, didn't know it existed. It's one of those little gems that we just kind of stumbled upon. I actually found this game in the PlayStation area at first, and I was playing it and I was like, oh, this is kind of neat, I like the concept, but we had to move because there was this girl playing Days Gone to our left, and oh my god, her screams were like banshee screams.
Tiny little woman, and she was playing, and I'm guessing the guy standing next to her was a friend, maybe boyfriend, I don't know. He was cracking up. I was not. She was probably a good,
this is before you were
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's probably good, maybe 5 feet from us. And there was like a little fence, in between. And Steven is playing this game. And I'm watching him. And my first comment about the game was that it looks like Hotline Miami.
No, not looks like. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. But, not look like. But still, it reminded me of. Yeah. But then we just hear this girl giggling, and then it was and we're just kind of like, what? And then it went higher, and then it was a drawn out, like full on scream, and then she'd just start giggling and like kind of gyrating in place. And then her character would like regenerate, and she'd start running, and then she'd get freaking attacked by the zombies or whatever, and then she'd just start screaming again. And I just looked at Steven, I was like, we gotta freaking go or I'm gonna lose my crap.
Yeah, and even
like, I am done.
At one point was just like, I don't know if I can take this. It's like, then stop playing it. You dumbass.
It was just
the amount of times I've said that though, playing game, like, I don't think I can take it anymore. Continues to press W.
But, I mean, if you're like in your own house or something like that, scream, carry on, whatever. But when there are, a good 20 other people around you trying to enjoy games and stuff like that, you carrying on, you carrying on like a freaking banshee is just ridiculous, and it was aggravating and just getting under my skin. Yeah. And I'm usually the one who can take crap. He's usually the one that gets irritated.
Well,
but I was just like,
I was trying to focus on the game. I was really trying, and then she just kept on and on. I was like, all right.
So you should have just put some narrative in your head as to how that was incorporated into the game you were playing. Like when you shot something and she'd scream, you'd be like, yeah, take that! Like you were really killing whatever was on the screen.
But luckily, Blood Roots had its own booth.
Yeah.
So this is one of those games that was kind of spread out over the con, and it had a spot right next to. Well, this is an interesting segue as well. It's sitting right next to Stone Lantern Games. Our
boys over there.
Yeah, so we got to talk to Kent and Ariel, but we somehow missed Cynthia.
I feel like we saw her when we were walking towards something else, and when we came back to the booth, she was missing, and they were there. It was lunchtime, so maybe they were just taking turns.
Well, we got to chat with them, and the game's coming along. Everyone's loving it, so much so that they ran out of cards.
Yes, they did. They did.
But that's great.
That's a good problem to have. It's 100% a wonderful problem. We didn't get to try it today.
Yeah, no, because I mean, the way we kind of like it was like, we've played it. I do want to see what they've done.
They want us to see the new stuff, and I'll be selfish enough to say I want it too.
No.
I feel like I'm invested now.
The way I'm looking at it, I'm going to save that.
I want to see our boys do well.
I want to save it for Sunday because.
And girl, why do I keep doing that? I'm sorry. I'm being such a piece of crap. She put in a lot of lovely hard work too.
She did. Without her,
there's no battle bots. That's already like a rung up for me.
But. Just saying that they're doing a great job. I want other people to see it.
Yes,
I wanted people to play it. I don't want to intrude. I'll come back Sunday when the crowds are down a little bit, but Yeah, everybody else, you go play this right now. You know, if you're there, check it out.
They set up 6 stations this time too,
Yeah.
so they're ready for you. Go on in.
And they have their little plushie to show
Yes.
everybody.
Oh
And
my
it's freaking adorable.
So stealing it. Don't tell them no, it was me.
If you need any influence or inspiration to buy the game, the plushie will do it.
Oh my God, it's so cute.
Yeah. So
And it supports the game. So
Yes.
there you go.
correct. But anyway, we'll get back to Deliverance yet again. Sorry,
Let's try.
There was a lot of stories involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I get to their booth. They have it all set up so you can play it. The game, as Katrina kind of mentioned, it's a Hotline Miami-esque game, and I mean that in the sense that when you get hit, you're dead. And you got to start over.
One shot.
And he found that out like 3
Yeah,
times
I
before.
I didn't realize that's what it was because it was like, oh, what is this? Because it's kind of a top down, but that diagonal, angle.
I was kind of watching you play
And
it. Yeah.
it's a lot more open than Hotline Miami.
So that again, the comparison to
pretty
Hotline
much the
Miami,
one-hit death kind of.
is
yeah.
really
It's-
the only
yeah.
thing there because that also applies to the enemies as well. You hit them, they're dead. You just gotta stay on top of it. You gotta keep moving and going.
Oh yeah,
and
they
whatnot.
chase your ass.
But what is so unique about it is it's kind of got this, I don't want to say Viking, but it's like this old world type feel to it. You know, like you live in some older world and there's, wood and axe and things, so on and so forth. We'll just say old world. That works. Anyway, the combat, you can just punch and you can jump. But everything around you, just about everything around you is a weapon. Everything. So, first thing I grabbed, it was a piece of wood, and killed a guy. I was like, I got him. And then I walk around, I find an axe. I'm like, oh yeah, slash with an axe. Awesome. Then I find a carrot. And then
Nice.
they actually did a cut scene with the carrot.
It
where
was
you
awesome.
You see him shove the carrot into the guy's face or something like that. You're like, oh
No,
my
he
God.
hit him.
He hit him with it.
Hit him over the head. Dude went down, head smacked the ground, and then you just beat him to death with this freaking
Okay, I
carrot.
gotta play this
With a
game.
But then everything again, there are so
There
many
were
other things
fish,
like
fish hanging up. You could grab the fish and kill them.
Well, you didn't kill him. I
Oh.
noticed that early on. Like when you hit them with the fish goes over their head, so they're just sitting there running around, flailing around, so
Like
they're
a
distracted.
stun.
Yeah,
Or a
so you can go
crowd
grab
control
something
kind of
else
option. Okay,
and then take them out. I killed people with a ladder. I killed
Which
people
was
with
awesome.
a fence post, a sword, which that was badass because you actually turn into like a ninja. You're like,
Yeah, you like
Dashing
zoom.
everywhere.
Yeah, because you die.
yeah, I did. I dashed off a cliff. I was like, ah!
Nothing like that.
But like the sword, it had the dashing. But the ladder, as you're running, you could spin it. So
Yeah.
when they were around you, you could hit multiples. And when they die, it's like just a blood streak. It's
Yeah.
like all that's left. It's just like blood smear, death.
And then what was another? Oh, there was like a wagon wheel, and that was like a boomerang. You'd throw it, and it would just like hit all the enemies in the area. Now, one thing I did notice at one point is as you're kind of progressing through this level, there was like a wall, like a red wall barrier that was telling you that you didn't kill everybody. You got to go back and kill this one person, and then you can progress. So I think it kind of keeps you into an area. You have to make sure you kill everybody, and you can go forward.
Okay.
But again, the mechanics of it are very Hotline Miami-esque. But beyond that, it's not that game.
Yeah.
So don't sit there and think that's exactly it. It's just got that one mechanic, the one death.
Well, then how's the
hit.
soundtrack?
Well, I don't know because
There was no headset?
Well, I feel like did I have a headset on? I don't think I did with that one. So I never really got a sense of the sound of it. And again, going back to the PlayStation booth, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because of the Banshee.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't imagine it would have the Hotline Miami soundtrack that we all know and love. Because even to this day, look.
They're coming for me, man.
Yeah, you hear the cops. I mean, it just distracts me. Hong Kong Massacre has potential, and I want to like it, but I really feel like that lack of a good soundtrack is really what's keeping me from getting into it. I really do. It has potential. It is Hotline Miami just upgraded, and I'm just like, but the music's just not keeping me there, you know.
But everybody can have that soundtrack.
Yeah, and I don't want to knock it. I just feel like that's what's keeping me just
right there on the cusp.
I will say with this, the Blood Runes. Roots. I don't know why I want to keep saying runes. Blood Roots. I will say that the graphics are really pretty.
Yeah.
Like, it's bright, which is one thing. I mean, he plays Hotline Miami, and I'm just kind of like,
But it does have an old school flair to it.
It does. And I mean, the music is good and everything, but the new one, it just, I don't know. It's really pretty, and it's not like that kind of grainy or anything like that. It's very clean, and it's bright for even, you know, blood smears and crap like that.
And it does. I don't want to say like a completely animated look, but
it does
really
have that
does
kind of
lean
animated.
toward-
And I mean, even the cutscene was like, I mean, that was like an animation type. And the character himself is kind of, like what you said, kind of barbarian, but
Viking-esque.
Like, I guess it'd be like barbarian, Viking, and like just some mountain man who lives out in the middle of nowhere, because he's wearing like a wolf pelt, and just, I don't know, he's like grizzly looking, and I don't know, all I can see is that scene where he's just jumping and yelling and then smashes the dude with the carrot. Like, it was
I'll
awesome.
have to check that out for sure.
Now, as far as the story goes, they really didn't go into a lot, and granted, this is a demo, and it was like a complete demo to where it was, you know, beginning, end, so you can end the demo. What was interesting about it, and it intrigues me more to know more about the game and what the story is because when you start it, you see the guy that you're playing. He's sitting on a log next to a fire and just kind of minding his own business. And then you see someone come up behind him and then hit him upside the head. And then that's where it kind of picks up. But then when you get to the end, you were that guy. Like, you go into the circle and you were that guy hitting him upside the head. So it was like, wait a second. And that's where they ended. So you're just like, what the hell just happened here? We just, huh? So I'm curious.
Yeah.
There might be more to it. Maybe they don't want to give it away, so that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, that game's fun. I'm looking forward to playing it. I need to try to get an idea when it's coming out.
Yeah.
I can't imagine I'm kind of secretly hoping it's out now.
So you can go home and figure out who the hell that guy was.
I want to play it some more. I got 2 more games. I just remembered another one before, because I said I only had 2 a minute ago, but I just remembered another one I got to play. So I just want to touch on it real quick. But it was Earth Defense Force Iron Rain.
Oh, yeah?
Which I think is... I feel like it's a DLC maybe, but it might be a spin-off.
I feel like it has to be, because isn't 5?
5 just came out.
Yeah. So
I wasn't sure if this was DLC or a separate game, but got to play it, and comparatively, because I've only played 4, graphically it's like a step up.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, oh wow, but combat-wise, it's still kind of clunky.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. And I even thought I selected like the faster moving soldier, and I still felt like I was moving at a snail's pace. I'm like, come on, dude. But it was really awesome is he had like a jetpack. So I could just like jump and fly, and I was like, yeah, I can get around.
Awesome to a point until you killed all them ants and you were just flying into like the ant faces and
So
just
that
kind
was
of
kind of
dragging
one of those-
along the side of it.
Yeah, I think it tends. Even the other one used to do that. Like you die, you
'cause
just
you don't
constantly
really,
get
like-
trampled over and over and over and over.
Well, it's like the jetpack, you didn't go up. It was kind of like you hovered and then flew forward.
Yeah.
It wasn't like straight up jumping over things and stuff like that.
Because I was kind of hoping for like a double jump where it would like hover you over.
Sure.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
but it didn't happen.
You just
had to, like,
fly into crap.
Like if you wanted to get over them, you had to jump and then hit the thing and then hope for the best.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still think the concept of the game is good. They just need to refine the development of it. And I feel like it'll be such a solid game.
Because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had. It's just, it's got its flaws.
Yeah.
So, but again, it was neat to see an upgraded model of it because the ants look really cool. The streets and everything look really cool. So,
Yeah.
it was neat to see that just kind of enhanced, so to speak.
And now for the diamond in the rough.
The diamond in the rough. You know, we were talking, I think, the other day that we were kind of hoping we would find a game that we feel like might be something special like Evergate, you know, because when we saw Evergate, we thought, we know this is going to be special. Now, I don't want to say that this will have that meaningful impact like Evergate, but I feel like this will be I think it'll be a hit.
Yeah.
I feel like you hit the right people and you get the right fans, because for me, it was automatically, I was like, I want this game now because I can appreciate every single thing they did. And I wasn't trying to blow smoke up their ass. I really hope that they didn't feel like I was just, you know, because I told them, you know, I met the devs and everything. I was like, I love this, dude. Yes. And they were just like, oh, thanks. And, you know, and I think that they were being genuine, but I want them to know I was being genuine too. I'm not just saying that. I loved it because the game is called, you're probably wondering, Feral Frontier, and it's by Dirty Beast Games, and the game is like a lot of these old games that I used to love and play when I was younger. Yep. Primarily, I got a lot of sense of Mega Man.
Yep. Well, one of the creators actually said that was where he pulled like a lot of the, I guess, ideas from.
Yeah, a lot of it. Like if you play the way he controls, and then there's like the wall jumping and things like that. That's straight up out of Mega Man X.
Where the was it the little area open, like the little door?
Yeah. Oh yeah. When you got to the boss, they did the Mega Man doors where it's just like you walk in and the door opens and you get to the boss.
I should have finished the whole demo up.
Yeah.
I think I died a couple times and then got to talk to one of the devs and then just stepped away so other people could start to play it, you know. But
there was even a dash move that was very reminiscent of Mega Man X. Now, they had a few other things. Now, they had a stamina meter in the game, which, you know, is not something from a Mega Man game. Of course, that's kind of a common trope nowadays. And I can see where it kind of works into the core mechanics of this, trying to keep it to where you're not just... Because if you didn't have a stamina meter, I would feel like a lot of the things that they incorporate in there, it would make the game too easy. So you kind of need something to kind of balance it out a little bit. Because what that comes down to is like you have... like a climbing move. I think if I remember correctly, you can collect weapons and items and stuff like that. And one of them was like claws or something like that.
Yeah, when you finally get to attack.
Yeah, and then you can use that to kind of climb walls and and even climb the ceiling, which I thought was like, fuck yeah, you know.
Oh, I didn't get
that
far.
You know, so if you needed to do that, you could do that. And I'm assuming you'll get more power-ups and stuff as you go along. So... you just kind of go through this little forested area until you find the big boss and you fight them. But one of the greatest things about this demo is if you know your games and you know where they're pulling from, you'll catch, you know, little winks and nods, because I saw there are characters you'll kind of interact with, and I looked at them and some didn't really click immediately. Like I was looking at it, I was like, why does that look familiar? Even the main character, it didn't hit me at first until you started playing it again and I saw what his name was. If I'm wrong, guys, if you're listening, please feel free to correct me, but I'm almost positive. The character is a fox.
Yeah.
And I think they said his name was Renard. There was a game I remember playing, and I feel like it was called Stories, but I never can remember the rest of the damn name of the game. But the main character was a fox named Renard.
Okay.
And he looked a lot like this fox. And I was like, so you're... okay. So I kind of got where they were going with it. Another character I ran into later, his name was Conky the squirrel. And I was like, that's Conker.
Yeah.
And what they even said, they were just like, you know, well, from a legal standpoint, we're not... you know, these are placeholders. And I was like, that's fair. But when they asked me, is there anything they would... you know, could change about the game, I was like, well, you know, I was told by one of your other people that, you know, you kind of got this. I like the references. You know, if you can find a way to kind of work those in legally, by all means, leave them in.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would appreciate that. I did. Because when I spotted that just, I was like, oh, that's awesome. You know, even just little things, but it's awesome.
Now, I will say, because I got to talk to him more than you did, because I talked to him while you were playing. And one of the things that I thought was interesting is they told me that they had been working on another game before this one, and they scrapped it and started working on this one because this was what they wanted to do. They've only been working on this game for 1 year and 2 months, is what they said.
Well, they've done a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was awesome, because just watching you play it, I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was fun. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time with it for sure, but
Now, one of the
hopefully I can get my hands on it. And show it off later.
they kept mentioning an element to the game because there were a lot of other elements to it that they said that they pulled from other games and stuff like that. They kept mentioning Super Mario 64, and I guess I missed where exactly that element.
You did get to take a turtle shell and like shoot
Yeah.
at some
So I mean, there
people,
were
too, like that.
well, but I mean that didn't really feel like a Mario 64 specific element. But there were yes, there was that moment you could lift up shells, you could move blocks and stuff like that. I'm starting to remember all these things I'm forgetting. Our memories, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could move blocks around and that kind of help you with puzzles and things like that to kind of get around with. But they taught me a special move. You know, they were just like, because there was this ledge that I saw, and I was like, how the hell am I supposed to get up there? Because it was blocked with spikes and all this other stuff. And there was this platform that would go up, but not enough for me to get up there. And I was like, how am I supposed to do this? So I kept kind of looking it over, and then, by the way, their names. That's another thing I was trying to remember. It was Josh, Ken, is it right, Ken? And
Ken,
Felicia. Okay, well, Felicia was the one watching me play the game. And she saw me observing this, trying to figure it out, because I was like, I know I can get up there. And she's like, she's like, are you familiar with the old Super Mario, or this might have been the 64 version of Mario thing that they were talking about. She's like, do you remember that move where he would kind of do a backflip? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, all right, so there's a way you can do that in this. And I was like, okay. She's like, you have to dash forward, hit jump, and then I think it was one of the R buttons.
Yeah.
And then he'd flip back. But you had to do it in just the right way, you know, like you would in those games where everything had to be timed just perfectly, and then it would happen. And I sat there. I heard what she said. My brain was processing. It was like, dash, jump, button, dash, jump, button. And I wasn't getting it. And then suddenly it's like, it clicked, you know, and then suddenly it was like backflip, backflip, backflip. And I was just doing it. It was like, yeah. And I had it. And then so I took it and I went back over there and backflip and got in there. And I was like, ha-ha. So, and where I was trying to get to had a treasure chest, which was another element to it, is you could find these little keys and it would unlock little treasures, which are potions. You get an items list where you have potions, and I feel like your weapons are kind of in there, but I mean, they collect and you can kind of use them as needed. But the health and stamina stuff that you can kind of get to kind of help, because that helped me with the boss.
Yeah.
I was not going to beat him on my own because he started taking me down. I was like, I don't know, I'm going to die. And I was like, wait a second, I have health potions. And then filled him up and boom, I took him down, no problem.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. If anybody who happens to be at PAX, you want to go check this game out. It's called, again, Feral Frontier. Why was I going to say Forest? Feral Frontier.
I was going to say fighter.
Yeah.
We're good at this.
Yeah. I really, I want to play more of it because I'd love to see where they go with it. I'd love to see how they progress on it and build on it. Keep in the winks and nods.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
If you can, for sure.
Because
yeah.
this is a game for, I feel like, for us old school gamers. I mean, they clearly have inspiration. They clearly love the stuff too. So this is a game that we can all appreciate. So keep in those little things like that.
Yeah.
Just as even
like
if
how
it's,
Pixar throws an adult joke for the moms
Oh,
and dads
yeah.
they know have to get drug along to watch them. You know, leave
Yeah.
that in there for us. Yeah.
and I'm sure there are clever ways you can kind of go about it. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be name drops or anything like that, but it
Right.
could just be subtle things. You know, like Conky. If you can't, I mean, I feel like that's, you know, clear enough. You know, it was
Yeah.
enough for me to go ah.
But it's not the name.
But it's not
Yeah.
the name. So I was like, okay.
yeah.
And they said that some of the other characters in there, I think, were from Banjo-Kazooie.
Kind of
And-
had
and
that
I-
little feel
I'm-
to it too, maybe with like the colors
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I loved it. I want to play more of it. I don't want to push them to get the game done, you know, as quick as they can because I want it to be good. But you know, I'm anxious to play more of it.
Yeah.
I want to play like Evergate. I was wanting to play more of that. I want to play more of this.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a must buy for me when it does come out.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And hopefully you'll have them on here soon.
Yes,
Because they seem very eager to be on it.
Yeah, they were definitely interested. So I'd love to have them on here.
Love to talk to them, yeah.
Yeah, chat about their games and anything they've got
And they're
planned for.
so willing. They really want the feedback, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like, when I was talking with her, she was just very much like, we want to see what's working. We want to see what isn't.
Yeah.
Like, you know. And so, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of feedback to give right there, you
Yeah.
know.
And
So,
and that as far as his feedback goes, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, I didn't feel like it was like
Right.
there was anything wrong. You
Yeah.
know? I mean, I'm sitting there playing it like a pro, and
Yeah.
I don't mean that like an egotistical way. Like it
this
felt
is your wheelhouse. Though.
yeah. I was just like, this feels like Mega Man X. I played that to death. So I
Yeah.
knew what I was doing, so I was just bouncing, climbing, doing all this. The only thing that kind of threw me off, and I even told him this, I said, I'm unfamiliar with an Xbox controller. So
Right.
when I'm
I
looking
had
at
that
buttons
trouble, too.
and it says press RT, and I'm like, which one is RT?
top, I guess.
know.
I think it's right top. And
So that's the only thing that really threw me off. I said, but beyond that, once in my brain was starting to figure out all the buttons, and I was just moving, going, it just felt natural. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can do this. I can play. I just need to know where to go here and go there, and yeah. Mm-hmm. So it didn't feel broken. I didn't see anything. I don't know if there was anything that I just overlooked,
right.
but I was in
couldn't
it.
tell.
I loved it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I think that the reason they're looking for the feedback and stuff like that is just from talking to them. They're very passionate people, and they seem, I mean, obviously they're very passionate about this game.
Yeah.
And one of the things they were telling me is they had to do like a PowerPoint presentation thing. And they said that when they did it, it was all about like all the stuff they loved and all the stuff that was in the game. And it was just awesome. And then at the end on their last slide was just this little bit thing of, I guess, like I think they said like the business aspect of it or something like that, or really breaking down the mechanical type stuff because they didn't care to present that as much as like all the things that they loved about it. Like they didn't view that as important as everything else. And they said that they were just kind of caught off guard because then they started getting asked questions and were just kind of, fumbling around to explain it to them because they knew how to explain it, but were just kind of caught off guard because they're so engrossed into, the things that they love about it that everything else is just kind of not really, I guess, at the forefront of their mind for
Right.
it. But I don't know. They're amazing people. Just from talking to them and everything, they were super nice. And when I
This is
gave
why
them
we
the
like
card
going to these
and
things, man, when you get to see
Oh,
that
yeah.
in these developers, it's just like you get, oh man.
I feel
yeah.
like when you see that passion and you can understand that they're just not out to try and make a buck. They believe in
This
what
is
they're
what they
doing.
want, man.
You know,
Yeah,
and when you see that and you play the game and the game feels great, I feel like even if you get that kind of interaction, because like we said with Stone Lantern, they did the same thing. They were in it. You could see how much they loved it. These guys, you see how much they love it. They put everything into it. They make such a great game, and it makes you appreciate the game even more. I've even said that with, and if for anybody who might watch Porter and Ale, the Nashville Brewing Company and the Blackstone people, I never gave a second thought about their beers. But meeting them, talking to them, getting to know them, I actively search for it now.
Yeah.
I want to support them because they are such good friends and great people. I'm out there. I'm going to support you. You're good people. And same with these guys. You're good people. I love what you're doing. You love what you're doing. I'll support you. I'm there.
Yeah.
when you love what you're doing and you're not just putting it out there to make a buck, I feel like it means so much more.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to find those people that love it just as much. And I mean, even when I gave them the card and everything and, told them you had a podcast, and I was like, it's a gaming podcast, he interviews gamers and stuff like that. And I was like, because they just kind of looked at me and they're like, oh yeah. And like got all excited. Like we were like on the freaking TV or something. Like we were super famous. And I was like, we're not worried.
To talk about your baby,
Right?
Like I mean, really.
I was like,
please.
we're not so much worried about like the PlayStation and Xbox, like the big games,
they'll
all
get
those
their PR.
huge
Yeah.
games and stuff like that. I was like, we're looking for the little people. I was like, we want those people that get overlooked. We want those people that, you pass by them and you don't really give them automatically give them that second thought.
One dev that just had the bad fortune of only getting one
Yeah.
stand or something, you know. I mean, that's how we found Stay.
Yeah. Well, that's
it was
actually
had one thing, and I happened to just walk by, and I'm like, and look at all the awards it's won and how great it is. They're there this year too, guys. Go check them out. They got to be on the Switch now, and they're all over the place.
I didn't see them.
I still got to go check you out in Yaki. I'm sorry, I'm coming, man.
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. We over
or today.
I didn't even stumble by them.
But
that's how time works.
One of the things, like I was telling you, that they told me they had actually entered a competition to win tickets to PAX because they didn't know if they were going to be able to come. And it was a gaming competition. And they're like, if you win the grand prize, you get tickets to PAX, you get your booth and all this kind of stuff. They didn't win. And they didn't think they were going to be able to come. And the people who shared the booth with them told them, we have extra space. Just come in. Really and they got to be in that space. So if they hadn't have been able to do that, we would have never got to meet them. We'd have never got to play the game.
See, so things worked out the way it was supposed to.
Oh, yeah. And it worked out for the best because I think this is like Evergate. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be a good game. Yeah. It's going to be solid. I'll preach to the top of the hills and say how great it is because I enjoy it because of what it is. And the fact, I would even hope that if the guys are listening and gals, are listening to our podcast right now and listening to us gush over it and all that, they probably appreciated the opening, theme.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Because they are such big Mega Man X fans. So I'm just saying. But that's all I got. I mean, I wanted in on that high note, but that's really all that we kind of went through today.
I'll do better tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
We're going to get there.
Hit it early and hopefully we can
commit to some booths. I mean, I did do some wandering around. So there was a couple of things that caught my eye.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to get lost in the indie mega booth again. And then, as we remember from last year, remember to branch out into those corners because then you're like, oh my God, there's like 30 million more games over here.
Those are the ones that go overlooked.
Yeah.
Take a look at Stone Lantern. They were off in a corner. We found them.
I still feel like they had a good corner.
They did.
I know they want to. Your corner was good, man.
Yeah,
right?
Was good.
Like I just remember. I mean, you were in a traffic spot. I know they were still like off to the side and not in the center or anything like that. But they were right at the bottom of an escalator and near food. Like people are gonna walk there, man. Like obviously they've got an amazing spot now. For sure.
They're in
they earned those stripes, but. I always want to be like, it wasn't that bad, man. I found you. You were right where I needed to be when I had to use the bathroom. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. Maybe I didn't say that. I don't know, but I feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, sure. That's what happened. But we're going to cut it right here. You've heard all that we had to talk about on day one. We will be back tomorrow talking about what we got to see on day two. So stay tuned, guys. And don't forget... Game on.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.